6,000 years ago, someone in Denmark crushed garlic mustard into a paste and used it to season their food. That same plant is currently spreading through forests across the eastern United States, and almost nobody knows you can still eat it. For most of human history, nobody needed a foraging guide. They just looked down. The plants growing in the cracks of the path, along the fence line, in the disturbed ground around the garden, those were not weeds. They were groceries. Somewhere along the way, we built an entire industry around replacing them with something that needs more water, more soil preparation, and more money. And then built another industry to kill the originals when they dared to come back. Here are 12 weeds you can eat. Plants that generations of people grew deliberately, traded as crops, and carried across oceans as food. Most people have absolutely no idea. Number 1. Dandelion. You spend money every spring trying to kill this one. 400 years ago, people spent money to grow it. European settlers brought the dandelion to North America on purpose in the 1600s as a food and medicine crop. They carried it across an ocean deliberately. Let that settle for a second. A plant that millions of Americans now drench in herbicide every April was once carefully transported across the Atlantic as a valuable food source. A single handful of dandelion greens contains more beta-carotene than a carrot, and enough vitamin K to cover several times your daily requirement. Every part is edible. The young leaves raw in spring salads before they sharpen in flavor, the flowers battered and fried or steeped into wine, and the thick taproot roasted and ground into a caffeine-free coffee substitute that health food stores now sell for $12 a bag. Spinach needs prepared soil, regular watering, and replanting every season. Dandelion needs nothing. It breaks through compacted ground, survives frost, produces from April through October, and comes back every year from a taproot that goes 18 inches deep. You cannot kill it without chemicals, which is exactly the point. Think of it as the most valuable crop European settlers ever brought to America, hiding in your lawn under the brand name weed. Number 2 scored a perfect 100 in the only government study that ever ranked vegetables by nutrient density. It is growing along every clean creek and spring-fed stream near you. Number 2. Watercress. The CDC ranked it number 1 in nutrient density among every fruit and vegetable they studied. It has been food since antiquity, and most people walk past it without a second glance. In a CDC study ranking 47 fruits and vegetables across 17 key vitamins and minerals, watercress scored a perfect 100, ahead of spinach, kale, and every other green on the list. Ancient Romans fed it to soldiers on long campaigns. In 1800s England, street vendors bundled wild watercress and sold it as a breakfast food for working families. It was one of the first commercially cultivated salad crops in the United States. It has never stopped being food, we just stopped noticing it. The science behind that history: watercress is rich in vitamins K, C, and A, and contains compounds called isothiocyanates that researchers have studied for their potential to disrupt cancer cell growth. The flavor is sharp, fresh, unmistakably peppery. Crush a leaf between your fingers and the scent arrives immediately. Harvest only from clean, cold running streams, well upstream of any agricultural land or livestock. Water quality matters here more than with any other plant on this list. Think of it as the government-certified number 1 vegetable on Earth that hid itself in a creek so you would never have to pay for it. Number 3 looks like it should not be edible. It looks, honestly, like a weed in the most boring sense of the word. It is one of the most important food plants in pre-agricultural North America. Number 3. Lamb's quarters. Native American tribes cultivated it on purpose. Seeds were found in the stomach contents of a 2,300-year-old Danish bog burial. Most gardeners pull it out without a second thought. Chenopodium album stands upright with pale green leaves and a distinctive, dusty, powdery coating on the underside that gives it a silver-green shimmer in bright light. Those seeds recovered from the Danish bog dated to roughly 300 BC, evidence that people were eating this plant 2 millennia before European contact with the Americas. Native groups across the Great Plains and Southwest harvested both the leaves and the seeds, drying the seeds and grinding them into flour for cakes and porridge. Lamb's quarters and quinoa belong to the same plant family. Those small dark seeds it drops in late summer can be cooked exactly like quinoa, which sells for $5 to $8 a pound. The wild version is free. The leaves contain more protein per serving than spinach, along with significant calcium, iron, and vitamins A and C. The flavor is mild and earthy, closer to Swiss chard than anything sharp or bitter. It grows most aggressively in disturbed soil, the kind that surrounds raised beds and garden borders. If you've been building a vegetable garden, lamb's quarters is almost certainly already colonizing the edges while you buy spinach seeds 3 feet away. Think of it as the superfood that camouflaged itself as the boring weed next to your garden, to see how long it would take you to notice. Number 4 defends itself so effectively that most people have never tasted it. Touch it and it burns. Cook it for 60 seconds and it becomes one of the most nutritious greens you have ever eaten. Number 4. Stinging nettle. During World War I, Germany used nettle fiber to manufacture military uniforms when Britain's naval blockade cut off the cotton supply. That is how integrated this plant was into European life, and how long humans have understood that it offers far more than a sting. Bronze Age cloth woven from nettle fiber has been found at archaeological sites in Denmark, evidence that this plant was being cultivated and processed thousands of years before the industrial era. In medieval kitchens, it was eaten every spring as a tonic after months of preserved winter food. The sting disappears completely with 60 seconds of blanching, after which the flavor is earthy and mineral-rich in a way that spinach never quite reaches. High in iron, calcium, magnesium, and vitamins A and C, with more protein than most leafy greens. The young spring shoots harvested before flowering are the most tender and nutritious. Nettle soup, nettle pesto, nettle tea. Every preparation is worth trying. Nettle supplements sell for $20 to $30 per bottle at health food stores, marketed for joint pain, allergy support, and anti-inflammatory benefits that clinical research has confirmed. The source plant grows in dense patches for free in disturbed ground, woodland edges and fence lines across the northern hemisphere. Harvest with gloves, blanch before eating. Everything else is just choosing what to make. Think of it as the plant that evolved the perfect defense mechanism specifically because it knew how valuable it was and did not want to be over-harvested. Number 5 has been following humanity around the planet for centuries. Native Americans named it after the people who brought it, and every culture that encountered it figured out how to use it within a single generation. Number 5. Broadleaf plantain. Native Americans called it white man's footprint because it appeared everywhere European settlers went. A peer-reviewed clinical trial found that plantain ointment outperformed standard treatment for second-degree burns. Plantago major thrives in compacted soil, cracked pavement, worn-down paths, the exact habitat that humans create everywhere they settle. It followed Europeans across North America so reliably that its arrival became a marker of colonization. In traditional European herbalism, fresh plantain leaves were pressed against wounds, stings, and rashes for centuries. The science supports the folklore. The plant contains compounds called aucubin and allantoin, both documented for anti-inflammatory and wound-healing properties. A peer-reviewed clinical trial confirmed plantain ointment improved healing of second-degree burns better than standard treatment. The young leaves are edible raw or cooked, mild and slightly earthy, best before the plant toughens in summer heat. The seeds are related to psyllium, the same fiber ingredient in commercial digestive supplements sold in pharmacies. You have probably bought a version of this plant at a drugstore without realizing it was growing for free in the cracks of your driveway. Think of it as the plant that decided humanity was worth following and has been trying to help us ever since. I want to pause here for a moment, not to sell you something, but to give you something real. If you're watching this and thinking seriously about incorporating these plants into your daily life, I put together a complete practical guide for exactly that. Identification, preparation, safety notes, seasonal timing, and the best ways to use each plant in real meals. The kind of resource I wish existed when I started. It is in the first pinned comment below. No pressure, but if you are serious about what we are covering, I think you will find it invaluable. Now let us keep going because the next 7 plants have some of the most surprising stories on this list. Number 6. Purslane. Mahatma Gandhi listed it among his preferred foods during periods of fasting. Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote about it as a common food and medicine. Most American gardeners throw it into the compost heap. Portulata oleracea sprawls low and wide across bare soil, sending out thick reddish stems that branch into a flat mat of fleshy, paddle-shaped leaves. Snap a stem, and it is almost juicy. It stores water in its tissues like a tiny desert survivor, built to thrive in the hottest, driest corners of a summer garden where other plants fail. It was eaten in ancient Egypt, Persia, Greece, and Rome. It has never left the table in Mexico, the Middle East, or the Mediterranean. Only in modern American culture did we decide it was garbage. Scientific analysis confirms what those cultures always knew. Purslane contains the highest levels of alpha-linolenic acid, the essential omega-3 fatty acid, of any leafy green vegetable studied. It also provides 6 times more vitamin E than spinach and 7 times more beta-carotene than carrots. The flavor is mild and slightly tangy with a satisfying crunch that holds up beautifully in salads, grain dishes, or lightly pickled in vinegar. Omega-3 supplements sell for $25 to $40 a bottle at every pharmacy. The plant producing those fatty acids for free is currently spreading across your garden beds, waiting for you to stop pulling it out. The small yellow flowers open only in morning sunlight. The stems are almost juicy. Everything about this plant announces its quality if you know what you are looking at. Think of it as the fish oil supplement that evolved legs and moved directly into your garden to cut out the middleman entirely. Number 7 grows in late winter while everything else is still dormant. And for centuries, that timing made it one of the most strategically important plants a family could find. Number 7. Chickweed. It starts growing in late winter sometimes while frost is still in the forecast. For centuries, that timing made it one of the most valuable plants a household could find. Most people in modern America walk past it without knowing what it is or that it is edible at all. Stellaria media forms soft, tangled mats of delicate stems and tiny oval leaves. One distinguishing feature sets it apart from similar plants. A single line of fine white hairs runs along one side of each stem, switching sides at every leaf node. A detail so specific that once you know it, you can identify chickweed instantly, even without flowers present. In traditional English gardens, it was considered a reliable winter salad plant, available fresh when almost nothing else would grow. European settlers brought it to North America where it naturalized so successfully, it now grows across most of the continent from late fall through early summer. The flavor is mild and pleasant, somewhere between fresh spinach and tender corn silk with no bitterness. Raw in salads, blended into smoothies, or wilted quickly in butter with garlic and olive oil. It delivers vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, and iron in the exact season when fresh greens are hardest to find and most expensive to buy. Herbalists have used chickweed poultices for centuries to soothe eczema and skin irritation, a practice backed by the plant's documented anti-inflammatory compounds. One plant produces around 800 seeds that stay viable in soil for up to 10 years. Once chickweed finds your garden, it returns every late winter without any effort from you. The most reliable free vegetable any garden produces. Think of it as the fresh vegetable aisle that built itself in your garden and chose the most inconvenient season for you to ignore it. Number 8 is currently spreading through Eastern American forests, and ecologists are paying people to eat it. It has been food in Europe for 6,000 years, and most people in the United States have never tasted it. Number 8. Garlic mustard. Archaeological evidence from ancient pottery in Denmark confirms it was used as a seasoning as far back as 4100 BC, before most cultivated herbs were in common use. Forest managers now actively organize community harvesting events to control its spread. Aliaria petiolata spreads aggressively through forest understories, shading out native wildflowers with an efficiency that has put it on invasive species lists across the eastern United States. Conservation groups in the Great Lakes and Northeast now ask people to forage it from parks, and nature preserves specifically to reduce its spread. Crush any part of the plant and the smell arrives immediately. Raw garlic, green and sharp, completely unmistakable. European settlers brought it to North America in the 1860s as a familiar cooking herb. Without the insects and diseases that kept it in check back home, it spread across an entire continent. Young spring leaves are the most tender and best for raw eating. Blend it into pesto, drop it into salads, cook it as a pot herb, use the seeds as a mustard-like spice. Garlic mustard pesto from young spring leaves costs nothing and is genuinely excellent. This is one of the only plants on Earth where eating it is an act of ecological conservation. Think of it as the invasive species that earned a guilt-free harvest permit. The one weed you can eat enthusiastically and feel like a hero for doing it. Number 9 tastes exactly like lemon in leaf form. Chefs at high-end restaurants pay foragers to bring it in. It is growing in the shaded corner of your garden right now. Number 9. Wood sorrel. Some botanists believe this was the original plant St. Patrick used to illustrate the Trinity in 5th century Ireland, long before the modern shamrock symbol was standardized. It tastes like a squeeze of lemon in a single leaf. Oxalis species grows low to the ground in dappled shade and sunny garden edges alike. Small heart-shaped leaflets in clusters of 3, each leaf folding gently along its center crease at nightfall in a motion called nyctinasty. The sourness comes from oxalic acid, the same compound in spinach and rhubarb, perfectly safe in normal quantities as a garnish or salad addition. That flavor is genuinely useful. Bright, citrusy, almost exactly like a squeeze of lemon in leaf form. Indigenous peoples across North America chewed the leaves on long travels as a thirst quencher. 16th century herbalist John Gerard praised it as a cooling summer ingredient. Chefs at high-end restaurants pay foragers to bring it in specifically for tasting menus and garnishes. The identical plant is growing in your shaded garden border for free. Note: eaten in moderation as a flavorful green, wood sorrel is excellent. People with a history of kidney stones should avoid large quantities. Think of it as the lemon drop that grows wherever you walk, always ready when you need something bright and alive. Number 10 grows in the hedgerows and field boundaries across North America and Europe, has been formally approved by German and European regulatory bodies for cardiac support, and produces berries that the British have made into jam and syrup for centuries. Number 10. Hawthorn. German and European regulatory bodies have formally approved hawthorn preparations for cardiac support based on clinical trial evidence. Young leaf buds in spring were called bread and cheese in traditional British folk culture and eaten by children as a trail snack for centuries. Most people in North America walk past it without knowing what it is. Crataegus monogyna forms the thorny hedgerows and field boundaries that define the British and European countryside, ancient living fences that have marked land boundaries for 1,000 years. The berries called haws ripen in autumn to a deep brick red and are rich in oligomeric proanthocyanidins and flavonoids. Multiple clinical trials and systematic reviews have shown hawthorn berry extracts improve exercise tolerance and reduce symptoms in mild to moderate heart failure. Evidence strong enough for formal regulatory approval in Germany and across European markets. That is not folk medicine surviving on tradition. That is a plant that passed the same clinical evaluation as pharmaceutical products. Hawthorn berry supplements sell for $20 to $35 per bottle. The source plant forms hedgerows across North America, producing those same berries every October for free. Young leaf buds in spring are edible and mildly nutty, eaten fresh as a trail snack by British children for generations before that knowledge was lost. The berries make excellent jams and syrups or can be dried for tea. The flowers contain different active flavonoids used traditionally for anxiety and nervous tension. Hawthorn got forgotten as a food and medicine plant because it became purely functional infrastructure, a boundary marker that nobody reminded people was also a pharmacy. Think of it as the cardiologist who set up practice in the hedgerow and has been offering free consultations every October since before recorded history. Number 11 is the sticky plant that grabs onto your clothes in every hedgerow, and that traditional European spring tonics featured as a foundational ingredient for centuries. Number 11. Cleavers. Those sticky, clinging stems that grab onto your clothes when you walk through any hedgerow have been used as a lymphatic tonic and kidney support herb across European traditional medicine for centuries. The science behind that traditional use is now documented. Gallium aparine earns its common name from the way it clings. Tiny hook-like hairs on every stem and leaf that grab onto fabric, fur, and passing animals with cheerful persistence. The plant contains iridoids and flavonoids with confirmed anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Research supports diuretic effects consistent with its traditional use for kidney and urinary health. It is also rich in vitamin C and silica, which supports connective tissue. The best preparation is fresh and raw hewing, blended into cold water or pressed through a cloth for a concentrated juice. Traditional spring tonics across Europe featured cleavers as a foundational ingredient for seasonal cleansing after winter, a practice maintained for centuries across multiple separate cultures because it worked. Cleavers got forgotten because we replaced seasonal nutritional traditions with year-round synthetic supplements. Think of it as the spring cleaning crew for your lymphatic system that has been volunteering its services every April for thousands of years and never once sent an invoice. And number 12. The plant that closes this list because it may be the most complete single food source on it. Every part edible, every part medically active, growing free in hedgerows across 2 continents. Number 12. Elder Sambucus nigra. Hippocrates called the elder tree his entire medicine chest. It grows free in hedgerows across 2 continents and produces 2 entirely different harvests from 2 entirely different sets of compounds. One in spring, one in autumn. Elder produces 2 entirely separate harvests from 2 entirely separate sets of compounds. In late spring, the flowers, large flat-topped clusters of tiny cream-white florets, produce one of the most aromatic and medically active edible flowers available. Elderflower cordial has been made across Britain and Europe for centuries. The flowers steeped with lemon and sugar into a fragrant, clear syrup that sells for $12 to $15 a bottle in specialty stores. The flowers also contain flavonoids used traditionally for colds, hay fever, and sinus congestion. In late summer, the same plant produces its berries, dense clusters of deep purple-black fruit loaded with anthocyanins. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial found elderberry extract shortened flu symptom duration by an average of 4 days compared to placebo. Elderberry syrup sells for $15 to $30 per bottle. The source plant grows free in hedgerows across Europe and North America. Important safety note: raw elderberries in large amounts can cause nausea and should be cooked before consuming in quantity. Flowers and ripe cooked berries are the safe and beneficial parts. Always apply heat to the berries before eating. Think of it as the entire medicine chest that Hippocrates described, still growing exactly where he found it, waiting for someone to recognize what they are standing next to. Before I close, something I want to say directly. You just watched through 12 plants. Every single one. Most people click away before a list like this reaches the ones that genuinely matter. The ones with the most history, the most documented science, the most practical value, but you stayed. And that tells me you are someone who actually wants to use this, not just hear it. So here's what I want to offer you. Everything in this video: how to identify each plant with certainty, how to prepare it correctly, how to time the harvest by season, and how to build these plants into real daily meals. I put into a complete practical guide. And right now, for anyone who made it to the end of this video, I am offering 20% off. Use the code FULLVIDEO at checkout. The link is in the first pinned comment below. No countdown, no pressure. Just my way of honoring the people who show up and pay attention all the way through. The code is FULLVIDEO. For thousands of years, nobody needed a foraging guide. They just looked down. The dandelion, the nettle, the purslane, the plantain. They were not curiosities or survival hacks or content for a YouTube video. They were groceries. Somewhere along the way, we built an entire industry around replacing them with something that needs more water, more soil preparation, more money, and more effort. And then built another industry to kill the originals when they dared to come back. They always came back. They are growing right now, in your yard, your driveway cracks, along every road you have ever walked without looking down. The knowledge to use them is the only thing that got lost. Now you have some of it back. What you do with it is up to you. Tell me in the comments, which one of these did you already know about? Which one surprised you most? And which one are you going to look for first? Share this with someone who has been spending money on greens that nature is already growing for free outside their door. Subscribe and ring the bell. I will see you in the next one.